I would love to have the boat to go out on the nice warm summer day. I want to go out and have a battle with the halibut. I want to get my own fish because the fish you catch yourself, no matter the quality, it always tastes the best.
Yes. But having said that, you do live like 300-400 meters away from a very nice fishing spot
Yes.
where we went this spring and managed to bring some pretty okay cods, let's say, from there.
Yes.
So technically, the fish, you can bring it also from the shore in your case.
Yeah, but size matters. Sometimes size actually does matter. And in this case, when you want to have the big fish, you need to go further out.
That
And
is very true.
and it's also, I have some other places I can go to where I can catch a lot of fish. As we went to when you were up here to pick up the boat, but as you saw, the weather there could be quite terrible.
Actually, you can talk a bit about that place because
Yes.
I do understand that this is a quite popular fishing spot for Norway overall, not just for the region kind of that you live, but overall for Norway. And I believe that if you just Google the name of the area
Yeah.
or go to YouTube, you will find a lot of foreigners visiting that place, renting a boat, and just going fishing.
Yes. The place is called Hella, and it has quite a powerful current there. So there's a lot of food in the water that is always going. So there's a lot of saithe, and with saithe it comes the cod, and with the cod it comes all the other fish. You can get basically saithe, cod, sea trout, salmon has been caught there. You can catch even wolf fish. Uh, People have also caught smaller halibuts there when standing on the edge of the sea. So it's quite an interesting place. But when we went there, we asked a friend of mine who lives there, like a kilometer away from the place, and we went to the place to catch some saithe and see if we could catch some cod. But the wind was so terrible that the lures basically came back on shore when we threw them.
It wasn't only that; it was super cold as well. Like
Yes.
even with proper fishing gloves, you were getting your hands frozen
Yeah.
really easily. And I think that day, kind of the weather had turned a bit as well because it was between 10 and 12 degrees Celsius
Yeah.
there. But that particular morning, it was really, really cold.
Yeah. And the wind was terrible. So you guys wanted to have some cod, so that's why we went there because you could catch cod as well. And he said, my friend said, who lived a kilometer away, he has a pier next to where he lives. And he says, well, we can go to my place. At least you will catch some saithe there. So, well, we're figuring out saithe is better than no fish, as we're catching now. So let's go. And we get to the place. You are the first one to throw out the line, and it bites at once. You basically had it out for 10 seconds. And up comes a cod, a quite decent sized cod. And my friend who lives there go, that's weird. I've never caught a cod here. That's that was a lucky shot. And that ended up with us catching 18 of those ones. We hit the jackpot.
It was 18 in 25 minutes. It
Yes.
was it was absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Me and my friend had enough work cleaning the fish, gutting the fish, getting everything ready, keeping you guys so you could continue fishing. That was all we could do because you guys were fishing at all times, catching, dragging, catching, dragging, catching, dragging, and after those 25 minutes, it went dead.
It went pretty dead, yeah. I also had a pretty big, what I suspect was cod.
Mm.
And what happened was that it actually went probably back to its hole.
Yeah.
And me kind of not having the experience of fishing cod ever really. I mean, it was my second time, third time fishing cod.
Mm.
Instead of just being patient and thinking that the fish will come out of its hole, in 2 or 3 or 4 minutes and just wait,
Mm.
I decided to just, pull it and obviously lost the fish. But that was the biggest fish I had caught then that day, which I didn't manage to land.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny that we managed to save so many fish. We lost only 3 or 4, even though we had to pull the fish like 2.5 meters up from the surface and up to the pier.
But the funny part was that we did catch some safe, but they were like very, very few, and we actually had enough cod that we put them back.
Yes,
We
they
didn't
were.
keep any. We didn't keep any.
No, they were so small as well.
They
Uh,
were. They were.
and but it's one of those good fishing stories that you have. It's like you don't expect things to like that to happen when a person who's been living there for 2 years says, "I've never caught a cod here."
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And to be honest, when he said it, we were all disappointed because we were thinking that okay, we want some cod, we want to do some fish and chips and enjoy them because
Mm.
I don't know if people that haven't really tried fish and chips with just really fresh cod. It's the best thing in the world, really.
Oh
When
yes,
it comes to fish, it's amazing. So having the trip to Norway and then eventually not tasting that, it's kind of a bummer. But it turned out to be like really really great, really amazing.
yes, and you did get to experience both the good and the bad of Norway in a way, and you enjoyed both of it.
That was my third time in Norway,
Yeah,
and
but
I absolutely love the country, and I think it's time to already start to organize next trip, but this time cameras will be recording everything, and I would
the,
say that go to Hella, fish from the shore, go to that particular place that you just mentioned from that pier, and show how the fishing is from there because it was really crazy fishing. And then maybe go even further north and rent a rib and just try for some halibut, which I have never caught ever.
yes,
I have never fished for halibut ever.
yeah, you. The question isn't if we're gonna catch it. If the question then will be, how big is it in that area where I grew up?
From what I have heard, we don't really want to catch anything bigger than 25, 30 kilos because then the meat kind of gets not so, I don't know, edible or tasty. What is the correct kind of
It's
terminology for that?
the meat fibers get so coarse that it is good for a soup, but that's about it. If you want to have the proper halibut experience, you fry it lightly in a pan with some flour and some pepper, and that's about it, and some butter and potatoes next to it.
Sounds great. Sounds really great. So again, since we have been talking now about fishing, uh, how did it all start for you?
Oh, the same reason as it started with the boat bug. Living on a small island, I have a river next to me. I have the sea next to me. I have the lakes next to me. Dig up some worms, go into the river, catch some of those small uh, river trouts, fry them on the pan, and just enjoy. But I do enjoy the sea fishing a bit more because you never know what you're gonna catch. You never know what's gonna get over the edge of the boat until you get it to the. You can guess and you can assume on how it pulls and everything like that, but you never know. There's
Yeah,
always surprises.
Based on experience, after a while, when you have fished certain areas, then you do understand what fish you're bringing up just from how they react on
Mostly,
the fishing rod. Yeah,
yeah, mostly, but there are surprises as well.
there are. Yes.
It's like just for when I grew up, you could never catch mackerel up here. That would be like once in a lifetime experience to catch a mackerel. Nowadays, there are big schools of mackerel, and you catch them every summer. So things change.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
it's to the better for some and to the worse for some.
So for you, what is your favorite fish to catch, and what is your favorite fish to eat?
My favorite fish to catch is basically the wolffish. That one is, some will call it wolffish, some call it catfish. And it is quite interesting because that fish, when you pull it over the edge into the boat, there is a pure probability that you might lose a finger or a toe if you're not careful, because these guys have a bite. So it's a feeling of danger. But to be honest, the best fish meal, the one I would always go back to, is the cod in a proper northern Norwegian way. Just put it in some, boil the water, put the fish in, take it off the stove, let it simmer in that water for 20 minutes, potatoes, some butter. That's all you need.
Yeah, and those cods, obviously, they bring them all to, or a lot of them, to Southern Europe, and they are either dried with a lot of salt, which they make some excellent fried fish after you have put them in the water, for 24 hours just to get all of the salt out. But the frozen small cods that they import as well, you make excellent soup with those, like amazing soup.
Yes,
So I think it's a very volatile fish to eat, that you can cook 1,000 recipes most likely with it, and it always tastes great.
yes. Uh, you can destroy the fish, but that is because you use too much heat. It's always about keeping the heat low and slow.
Yeah, and it doesn't really need a lot of time to be cooked. That fish,
No,
it's really flaky as it is. So if you overcook it, it will just disintegrate. No matter what you're doing, whether you're
yeah,
frying it or soup or whatever, it will just break up. Yeah.
yeah. So that is my favorite fish to eat, is basically the cod.
Yeah. So then obviously we both kind of have common memories of going to fishing trips together. So talk to me about your favorite fishing trips,
Oh, my favorite fishing trip with you.
or
That,
overall in your life. It doesn't have to be with
yes,
me, or you can say one story with me and one that has happened to you. Just
yeah, yeah. The best part was when you were gonna teach me how to fish the hauki, because I had never ever caught or fished for hauki because it didn't exist up here.
and just for the viewers again, that the hauki is the northern pike.
Yes, and we were going, and he was telling me what to do, which lures to take, and I'm looking at the water, and I'm going, no, that doesn't feel right. That isn't the right lure to use. I'm gonna bring up my black spinner. And he's going, a black spinner? You're not gonna catch a fish on a black spinner in the dark water. And lo and behold, we caught one fish that day on one throw, and it was my first throw. Nothing else. That was a great moment in my life.
I'm glad that I bring so much joy to you.
Yes. Hey, it's how to put it. Nothing is more joyful than them proving others wrong.
Especially me.
Well, you've done the same to me as well, so that's okay. It evens out in the end. Yeah. But back home, usually in the afternoons, if I didn't have anything to do, I could bring my dogs with me. We went up to this lake. It took about 45 minutes to walk, and the dogs were relaxing, me fishing. Maybe I took a swim, the dogs took a swim, made some food up there, just enjoying life. It's so relaxing to fish with the worm and the bait, and it's like you can just sit there, you can relax, you can have the coffee going, you can have the little fire going, and it's like roll up those small trouts into some aluminum foil with a little bit of butter and salt. Leave it next to the fire. When you're done, you grab them, scrape them out, open it. And since it has been staying there so long, there's no bones. You just suck them clean. And it
I
was,
have to agree with you on the worm. It kind of brings us back to our childhood, maybe.
yeah,
But I still enjoy going ice fishing with just a normal small jig and a couple of worms on it, and just bringing some perch. It's simple. But it brings a lot of happiness, a lot of joy.
yes.
It doesn't have to be overcomplicated and chasing, for the monster fish and your trophy fish.
Yeah. It is fun to buy those advanced things. After all, I like to have a gadget or two. But but in the end, it is the joy of the catch that is that single moment when it catches and you know it's on. You know you're gonna get this on board. That is such a pretty. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be a trophy fish. It just is the catch. That little feeling that gives you the entire day, basically.
But do you remember your trophy fish?
I have had many trophy fish. Which ones of you do you think of?
So tell me the most memorable.
The most memorable fish I've caught. Uh, I I have the one where it's the most memorable one I never caught, but I did see it. That was I couldn't have been more than 10, maybe 8 to 10 something. Went to my father's place where he grew up on another other area in the northern part of Norway. Went with a cousin, went out fishing in the bay, still only 100 to 200 meters away from the shoreline, and we were fishing, catching small cods, throwing them out because we didn't want them, catching some small saithe, didn't want them, caught one or two bigger ones, and all of a sudden doom, it feels like I'm in the bottom. And I start dragging, and I start dragging, and I'm basically putting my feet on the edge of the boat, dragging, 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 and my cousin is going so annoyed because he's not allowed to take over. I'm gonna take this fish. I'm gonna take this fish. I will take this fish on board. And in the end, he gets so annoyed he takes the line. And just as he takes the line, we look over. We see the white surface of the fish. Probably nothing more than a 5 kilo halibut, but a halibut is a halibut. And I see it just turns down and goes under again. And I'm looking at him and he's looking at me, and I'm looking quite agitated at the moment.
So he snapped the line.
He gave it such a jerk that it managed to get off.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I were really happy about that. But it's still it's a fond memory these days.
Mm-hmm. And any memorable fishing trips?
Yeah.
Kind of, I'm not talking about the fishing itself, but
Mm.
overall, day or a weekend or?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we once went at the same area. We were like 8 kids deciding we wanted to go up into the mountains. The parents said, yeah, it's okay. And this is kids from 10 to 18 going into the mountains. We'll go up, we'll stay the night, and we'll come back tomorrow. Probably. The day after, another person came up and asked where we were, why we hadn't come down, and we said we haven't caught a single fish yet. We are not gonna give up until we catch a fish.
How many days did you stay?
We sent down someone on the 4th day to get food because then we were all out and everyone were hungry. We had caught 1 fish, but the dog we had with us had ran off with it because the dog didn't have any food either. And one of my aunts said that when we came down again on the 6th day, she could smell us before she could hear us. Because no one had planned for a longer trip.
Any other funny stories from fishing trips?
There's plenty of them. It was quite a nice one this summer. Apart from me being boiled like cod.
It was a hot day.
It was a hot day, and I'm a polar bear, so I had to give up after, what was it, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? When
a bit later, but yes.
Yeah, because I was boiling, and I was basically the only thing I did was get on land while you and Steinar went fishing, our common friend, and I just had to pour water on me. I was soaking wet, sweat, and almost heat stroke, basically. And that was in 25 degrees. Yes. And that is, people from the north of Norway think that 25 degrees is awful.
Yeah. So, do you have any future fishing trips planned or that you are planning them?
Yeah, well, you guys are hopefully coming up this summer or in the early autumn, maybe, or in the spring, and we'll see because I have some plans to go there, but I don't want to go alone to where I grew up, so we could go fishing for the halibut. We could go to the lakes and try to get the trout. Just showing off where my fishing joy came from.
And you are coming originally from Hammerfest?
Yes, or outside of Hammerfest on a tiny little place with 30 people.
Called
Sandøybotn. And it is close to more famous areas like Sørvær on an island called Sørøya, where they have the world championship in cod fishing.
And I believe YouTube is full of videos from that
Yes.
place. I don't want to say the name because I'm not going to say it correctly.
Yeah.
But it's one of the kind of places to visit in Norway.
It is one of the top places to go if you want to go fishing in Norway. Most of the records are basically from the coastline from Lofoten and further north. If you want to catch the big fish, that is where you have to go. And
so we will try to get there then.
Yes.
Next year.
Yes, and hopefully we catch 1 trophy fish and 1 perfectly sized halibut. So you can experience.
And then some other species just to cover, everything.
Yeah.
Since mackerel, for example, I have never caught.
Hopefully, maybe we can catch the wolf fish. Oh, very tasty, very, how to say it, meaty and full flavored. But it is also the one that is with the most danger.
Yep. And rather rare to get, I guess.
Yes, because you have to fish along the bottom,
Yep.
and usually jigging or that is the way to get it. Bait
And I guess
rigging.
quite a few grams on the jig, right? So
Yes.
200 grams, 150, 200 grams.
Yeah. But you need to go even bigger if you want the big halibuts. Then we're starting to talk about stuff that is this size.
I've seen them in stores in Norway.
Yep, and they look ridiculous when you're used to fishing in the fresh water.
They look, yeah, they look crazy.
It looks like a novelty lure, but it's the best ones to get halibut on, together
Yeah,
with
you know,
some.
there are some lures made by a Finnish brand that if you look at them, they are 27 centimeters long, I believe, and they kind of look like novelty lures for Finland. But people swear by them that when they travel from Finland to Norway, they get those with them, and they catch a lot of halibut on those.
Yes. These days, they usually catch only one halibut and then try to go for the trophy fish. Previously, and you usually throw out the trophy fish these days because those ones are the ones who are gonna make the other halibuts later, the smaller, tasty ones. Uh, the record out there, I think it is in the fjord where I'm coming from. Was a fisherman I know. He caught one on the net, which weighed 200 kilos, I think, something like that.
That's just crazy.
Yes, it. Yeah, he were actually afraid that he would never get it on board when he got it to the edge, but luckily it didn't have much fight in it anymore.
Yeah, nets tend to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is always a possibility to catch the big ones, but growing up as I did, we were always taught to fish for food. The joy was,
Yeah, not for trophies. Yeah.
yeah, fish for food, and the joy of fishing was a great bonus. And it's lovely to feel that initial adrenaline rush when it really catches on and you need to start fighting and finding out where does it go, what are you gonna do. We've been out fishing with ordinary rods, like universal rods that you could use in the lakes as well, but going to the sea and you could just see the tip going, woof,
They wouldn't work. Yeah.
and
Like
basically,
when I visited, I brought
yeah,
kind of the uh, heaviest casting rod that I had just to make
yeah,
sure that it works. And it actually did work pretty well, to
yeah.
be honest.
That back then it was like we had put on 0.45 nylon line and it just snapped.
Yeah.
These days we have Fireline, of course, and all the others, which works brilliantly, especially for jigging, because you need to feel the bottom and feel the fish, so you catch them a bit easier with those ones.
Yeah. That is very true.
So I'm looking forward to all the possibilities. And probably we will then experience Georgios going fully adrenaline pumped and start screaming and yelling, "Get the net!"
Get the hook, I will be saying from now
Yep.
on.
It is kind of funny to see how supposedly angry you get, but we all know that you're just so pumped up, so joyful, and you want that fish so much. It's a good thing.
All right. So my last question is, when are we going to see you on the Ove Boat again?
as soon as I can get down there. I was there last summer. I hope I can get sneaking down there this summer as well. Other friends wants to get me to the southern part of Norway, but I will try to get within reach of Finland again because I love going to Finland, especially because of the paprika mayonnaise. My weakness.
Yes, yes, it's funny every time we go to the burger place to ask for a
Yeah.
lot of paprika mayonnaise for Uwe.
Yes, after living there for 4 years, you get a bit of habits. That's hard to get rid of.
True.
Which is
All right.
also, yeah.
So anything you want to add then before we close?
Well, how to put it? Don't get a boat just because you want to get something to show off. You need to get the boat for yourself. You need to look at what you want, not what the others would like to see. It is a thing that you're gonna buy for you. It's a thing that you're gonna enjoy. So you don't care if it looks a bit shabby. If it works for you, it works for you.
I agree on that, and I would add on this that find a boat that you know where the problems are and that you are personally comfortable fixing them. So if it is a fixer-upper, just make sure that the works that need to be done, that you are comfortable in doing them. So if it is a work that you would need to glass fiber, something, and you don't feel comfortable about that, then just don't get the boat or get a professional to do it. But in my case, when I saw that it was all about electric work, for example, that I'm super comfortable in doing that, then yeah, go ahead and buy that boat because it will bring you also joy, not only using that boat, but also fixing that boat. So the whole process is going to be very enjoyable.
Yes, because you need to remember fixing the boat is a part of the joy of having a boat. If you try to buy a boat just for using it and you hate fixing it, then you will have a bad time. Or it will cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, that is 100%. And I would say also that because the more you drive a boat, the more you use it, then you also realize where the problems lie, and then you know whether something is a work that you can actually fix yourself or something that you need to give to the professionals.
Yep.
And maybe okay, if you're super experienced with a boat, maybe you can test drive a boat and just figure it out immediately.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, most of kind of these small details, they only come second or third time that you are using the boat properly. So you need to have sat for quite a few hours on that driver's seat in order to be able to figure out what is exactly the problem and how you can fix it yourself.
Yeah, because then you've learned how the boat reacts. You heard the engine. You know how it's supposed to sound. You know the feel. Everything starts to kind of come together. You start to know the boat. You know what's wrong. You know what's right. That's when it starts to get together.
Yes. So, Uwe, thank you
Yes.
very much for this. Obviously, I wanted to have this first interview for the channel with you for all of the reasons that we described. Hopefully, you will feature again in future videos, whether it is again another interview, maybe something that we need to cover, or hopefully and most likely in a fishing trip with a boat or without. It doesn't really matter. It's the people and not the machines really that are important in this case. So thank you very much for this. Anything that you would want to say before we close?
Oh no, it's nothing. I just want to say thank you, and hopefully, when you come up here, it might even be my boat you're traveling with.
And we will be making a video with your boat and fishing on your boat. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Uwe, thank you so much.
Thank you, and have fun.
All right. Bye now, and bye to all of our viewers.
Bye.